Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. It's an obvious one, really. Your thoughts, please.
Well, thank God. At last, I refuse to be one of those that jump on the bandwagon and say, oh, well, if it only had happened a few years ago. We've got it. Take it. Let's run with it. Let's have a ball with that fight. And the card, which is also quite interesting.
What have you heard about the card?
Well, 3 fights.
Go on.
Top Rank gets a fight.
Yeah.
Mayweather Promotions get a fight. And the fight. All on pay-per-view.
So the Mayweather Promotions fight you'd assume would be Anthony Durrell versus Buddy Jack?
No, I don't assume that at all. I think they're already in negotiations.
That fight's been made. That's agreed.
Yeah, well, there you go then. Mickey Bay is also in negotiations, so I presume it'll have to be something like Jalen Love.
Surely they put. Why would they not put Buddy Jack versus Durrell?
I don't know why they would. Maybe they will. Hopefully they will. Top Rank, I think, are looking at Vyacheslav Sinchenko.
Yeah. That's, for me, Sinchenko isn't in.
It's an interesting concept. I personally would like to see better. I think if you're paying, apparently it might be $100 for pay-per-view.
Yeah.
In which case, I think you should go for ultimate star power. Obviously, Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather is, but stack the card.
I guess nobody's going to buy it for the undercard, are they? But I'd like to... Look, I think Anthony Durrell destroys Buddy Jack. I think Buddy Jack is poor, but I think that's an interesting enough fight.
It would be good if that was on it. It would at least make something else worth watching. Definitely worth tuning in for.
Yeah. What about the fight itself?
The fight itself, well, it all comes down to what people choose to believe. If people choose to believe that Mayweather's getting a little bit long in the tooth and a little bit slow in the legs, then this is someone that can throw more punches than Maidana did around. If you choose to believe that Manny himself is getting on a bit, he hasn't knocked anyone out in a long time, he hasn't knocked anyone down in a very long time, then he's going against a master technician who can bob and weave and counterpunch. It fundamentally seems to come down to what you choose to believe. Do you believe that sort of guile will be better than speed?
And obviously you have watched all the fights recently. Who do you think will win?
Oh God. Impossible to say. I think it will entirely come down to a thing on the night. If Mayweather chooses to sit on the ropes, as he did in the first Maidana fight, as he did against De La Hoya, who obviously took him the closest, then if Pacquiao can keep his work rate up for 12 rounds and clip off 100, 200 punches a round, then it would be much harder to call. But if Mayweather dictates the pace and stands in the centre of the ring, then it's Mayweather's fight. I can't call it. I think it will be an on-the-night thing.
You think it's a 50-50 fight?
I don't know. Sorts of paper and quality of opposition probably says Mayweather. Given that Rios and Algeria are not great. They weren't great fights. They were fights for Pacquiao to win and look good in winning. But it just entirely comes down to these things that people choose to go on about. Either Mayweather's getting slow or Pacquiao's power is gone.
So you can't pick a winner at this stage?
Not really. I think it will come down to on the night.
Do you think... Let's put it this way. I find it staggering, this. I think that if they fight 50 times, Floyd wins 48-49. I see it as a really one-sided fight. So I'm keen to discuss this in a bit further. I mean... Can Pacquiao knock Floyd out?
Don't know.
You think that's a possibility?
I don't know. I do not know. People have seemingly hurt Mayweather.
Yeah.
A few of them. Very few.
Yeah.
Maidana clipped him occasionally, but the obvious one is Shane Mosley.
Zab Judah.
But Shane Mosley caught him with a beautiful right cross, and Mayweather was hurt.
I think it's these southpaws, the Zab Judahs of this world, that seem to have had effect against Mayweather.
Now the question is, can Pacquiao do that?
But look, Pacquiao dropped Algieri 6 times and didn't finish him off.
Yeah, but...
Algieri was coming up from light welterweight. Surely, if you're not knocking out Chris Algieri, having dropped him 6 times, you're not going to be able to knock out Floyd Mayweather.
Yes, of course. But there are other factors to consider in that fight as well. It was a catchweight.
Yeah.
Algieri had never... Ruslan Pavodnikov couldn't knock out Algieri. Algieri is tough. The fact that he went down 6 times and didn't think I'm done anyway, the fact his legs were still okay, the fact he wasn't unconscious, I mean, I think that shines more for Algieri's toughness as
Can
well.
Floyd knock out Manny?
If you can get him to sort of Ricky Hatton situation where he's done, effectively, because Hatton was done by the time he was knocked out, then maybe.
See, for me, this goes to points. You know, Floyd hasn't knocked anyone out except for when he sucker punched Victor Ortiz. He's not a hard puncher at 147. Manny Pacquiao, I'm not sure. I think his last stoppage might have been Ricky Hatton.
He knocked Mosley down, and obviously he knocked Algieri down.
Yeah, can knock people down. He's clearly a hurtful puncher.
Cotto.
He's not a knockout artist, though. Pacquiao at 147, he genuinely isn't. And I think Floyd is one of the greatest defensive fighters. I'm not saying the greatest fighter of all time, but one of the greatest defensive fighters of all time. Floyd has never been knocked out in a fight. You know, he's never looked close to being knocked out. He's been hurt. Yeah, everyone gets hurt in their fights. But for me, this is a fight that goes points. And for me, the fighter, and I've said this before, but the fighters who've had success in taking rounds of Pacquiao, the obvious example, Juan Manuel Marquez. The debatable example, Tim Bradley. Now, both of those guys were able to steal the rounds off Pacquiao by being technicians, by being counter-punchers, by being awkward guys, by being defensively sound. Mayweather brings all of that to the equation, but is far more advanced. You know, for me, Manny starts fast. He throws, lots of punches, huge output, huge hand speed. Maybe Manny takes the rounds early on. But as the fight develops, I think Floyd works him out. I think Floyd counter-punches him. I think Manny Pacquiao is solid but very predictable. I think, as Dwyer says, he is a predominantly one-handed fighter. And I think a fighter of Floyd Mayweather's arsenal can beat him. I do criticise recent Pacquiao opponents, but I have to say, Floyd's opponents, Guerrero, Maidana, for me, they don't represent the top of the middle welterweight division either. So, I think they're as bad as each other in terms of recent opponents. I think the better level guys in the welterweight division are guys like Tim Bradley, Amir Khan.
Yes, but there's intangibles there. Guerrero was his mandatory and he wanted to keep his belt.
Floyd doesn't give a shit about mandatories, come on. Like, that's nonsense. Floyd fights when Floyd wants.
Maidana had the public profile behind him.
No, the public voted for Amir Khan.
No, yes, the public voted for Amir Khan after Khan's urging on Twitter. But, undeniably, Maidana was coming off the bigger win over Broner with a title belt, a unification match. And Tim Bradley at the time, the top rank thing is probably not going to get worked out even after this. It'll still be another Al Heyman stroke Golden Boy fighter. He'll fight after Pacquiao, if not a British fighter who isn't represented by any of them. Or another fighter from somewhere in the world that isn't represented by any of them. So I think there are other intangibles in that. I think that Maidana is better than Rios or Algieri. I think Guerrero is a different one. But he still fought Canelo. He fought Canelo.
Canelo's very good. I've got to say, this Maidana, this is a guy who lost every single round when he fought Devin Alexander. Devin Alexander whitewashed him. We just saw Devin Alexander get destroyed by Amir Khan. I find it hard. Maidana brings certain things to the game, but he's so defensively open.
If Maidana hadn't hit Khan in the 10th, wasn't it, when they fought, then we'd have said that Khan would have destroyed Maidana.
Yeah.
So he is, obviously I say he's beatable, I couldn't do it, but if you are a very slick boxer, you can beat him. But I'd say the same for Bam Bam Rios. I mean...
Yeah. Rios he's not a top 10. For me, Guerrero, Rios, Algieri, none of them are top 10 welterweights.
I would watch Guerrero versus Rios. I think that would be a very fun fight to watch.
Yeah.
But I don't think you could make the argument that those two are next in line to the throne, as such.
Well, we disagree. He sees the big fight as 50-50.
I don't see it as 50-50. I think it will be a bit of a... I think it's a lot closer than people are willing to give it credit for. And I think it will be an on-the-night thing. I think if Pacquiao has huge lungs, if he can carry a huge work weight for 12 rounds, then sitting back and catching with the odd counterpunch just might not be enough.
I think you're right. Floyd's weakness is his output. Floyd's volume is the concern. But for me, Manny Pacquiao, you can work him out, you can counterpunch him, And I think Floyd is so elite defensively and so dedicated.
Well, if I was Pacquiao...
You've got 30 seconds more.
I'll save it then for another time.
Thanks for watching. Let us know your thoughts on this matchup.